The value of music has hit the spotlight. Taylor Swift broke up with the streaming service Spotify. She pulled all of her old music and barred her new album from the site. Swift argues streaming services don't value artists and have in fact shrunk album sales. Spotify defended itself this week, saying if people can't stream, the alternative is that they'll steal. The CEO of Spotify posted a blog that said, "Piracy doesn't pay artists a penny, nothing, zilch, zero. We're working day and night to recover money for artists and the music business that piracy was stealing away. We've already paid more than $2 billion in royalties to the music industries." It's not just the headline artists taking issue with music streaming. If the payout for a song shrinks, all the collaborators involved in making that song get a smaller cut too. And one prominent songwriter spoke out recently against how much streaming services pay to play music.
So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older.
You've heard it because it's one of the most popular songs on the planet. Aloe Blacc co-wrote and sings this song, Wake Me Up. It was the most streamed song in Spotify's history, 13th most streamed song on Pandora. But for all those plays, it put $4,000 in Black's pocket. Blacc is a singer, songwriter, businessman, and philanthropist. He joins us now. Start with telling me what's wrong with this model. We assume that because streaming music is tracked, that people are adequately paid. Why are songwriters not paid the way a singer might be?
Well, unfortunately, songwriters aren't paid exactly the same as singers because of, well, U.S. law. Copyright law doesn't offer to a songwriter, a content creator, the same rights to control their creation as that they offer to a record label to exploit that music.
So I think some people would be surprised that a song that's that popular, that was streamed that often, could actually yield that little. The truth is that even the faces of songs, the singers themselves, feel that the numbers don't quite add up. Now, one argument that's being made on the other side of this by Spotify and others, including Bono, is at least there's transparency. At least you can actually see the data, you know, how many times a song's been streamed. Do you buy that this could lead to better payment down the road?
No, transparency is absolutely the way forward, and it's really important for all companies to be extremely transparent. It's also important for, I think, the consumers to understand the value of the artwork that they're consuming and to help get behind the fight to change the regulations and laws that keep content creators at the end of the scale.
We've seen the model change, there's no question, right? I mean, there was a time when you could go into a studio and make a song and you could distribute it via stores, and that was a good living. Now, of course, it's merchandise, it's performances. Is there still a good living to be made here if you're not a headline act? For everybody kind of middle to small, is there a living to be made here?
Well, I mean, the argument is twofold. There's one for artists who, like myself, I'm able to go out and make a living doing shows. I don't really want to get out and sell perfume, but I want to just write songs. But I have a lot of talented, brilliant friends who write songs who are not artists, that don't go on stage and perform around the world. And those are the folks that, unfortunately, because of the laws, don't get compensated fairly.
Is there a different model that the songwriter could make with the artist? In other words, if you are a brilliant songwriter, that you would strike a better deal with the artists themselves and not leave it to the copyright laws or the streaming service to compensate you?
That could potentially be one way of doing it. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, an artist like, let's say, Bob Dylan, who is represented on Spotify or Pandora or any streaming service by multiple upon multiple artists singing his songs, he has no legal recourse other than what the law says in order to negotiate with another artist. He is compelled by a compulsory license to allow anybody to sing his music. Do
you buy this argument that at least streaming keeps people from stealing? Is that a fair argument to make?
I think morality keeps people from stealing, and I think that's probably what needs to happen, a paradigm shift and consumers' understanding about what stealing is versus what paying for quality is.
That is surely one of the big shifts we've seen. I don't know about you, but I'm shocked at the rate at which, moral, law-abiding people don't see music or other forms of content as something that they're actually stealing. Because a lot of people are going to want to stream, is the onus with those providers? In other words, is it not with the consumer that we should look, but to the actual service itself to make sure that fair compensation is being had and that there isn't another way to get this stuff?
No, I definitely think the onus is with the consumer. You know, any consumer is responsible for where and how he or she obtains content, and whether they're purchasing a handbag or buying food from the grocery store or receiving music from the internet. Ultimately, though, there are ways, I think, for the internet service providers and content providers, the distributors, to be a bit more careful about how the content is distributed and accounted for.
Do you have a view of Taylor Swift's decision to pull her music? I mean, she's obviously a fairly powerful artist, just given, you know, the rate at which she sells music. Is that what's needed to have really big profile players taking a stand?
I think it's one way forward, definitely. When you make art, you should have the say of where, when, and how it is distributed and consumed. As an artist, if I wrote a song that I thought was best presented at 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning, only in one city in the world, I should have that right, because that's what happens with a visual artist and a painting, and that's what happens with someone who makes shoes and sells them at a boutique shop. So I don't see why there shouldn't be a difference for a musician or a songwriter.
Can you give me a sense of whether you think there is a better model that we haven't yet tried to explore? I mean, we've kind of tried to evolve off the old model of making music and making money at it. Is there something we haven't thought of yet that'll make sure people pay for the stuff and everybody involved gets compensated fairly?
Yeah, I'm sure there is. There's definitely a better model. It probably will just come down to making sure that the laws allow the content creators full control. And once they have full control, we can have an open market and a fantastically open and transparent discussion about how songwriters would like to exploit their work.
So you wrote and performed in a song that became the most streamed, is ubiquitous. Everybody in the world has heard it. It's been used in a variety of different ways. Does the fact that you didn't get rich from this service, from Spotify, doing that, change your view of writing the next song?
Oh, it absolutely does. You know, I want to give my music to the world so they can hear it, but I also want to be compensated for the value of that music. And I want the co-creators, the people that I write with, who won't be on stage and being on TV and doing interviews with you, to receive value from that work as well. So, you know, that's why I'm here to try to elucidate the issues and create some change, if any.
All right, we appreciate you being here for that. Aloe, appreciate your time.
Thank you.